People, Deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on. Happy birthday to Ian right now. Unfortunately, people, yesterday the Magpies shat on us. 3 games. We're still lacking a win. We've played 3 games. We still have no win. We dropped points against Bournemouth. Ultimately, we also dropped points against Liverpool. And you add into the mix Newcastle. It's crazy. Now, therapy session, people. As much as I love you lot and you lot's thoughts, and make sure you're commenting and let me know your thoughts, people. I hope you can all hear me loud and clear. It's a mixed bag for me now that the emotions have calmed down. For me, the first thing I'd say is for obvious reasons, I'm not happy. Winning, losing, drawing, these things come with football. Sometimes you win games you don't deserve to. Sometimes you get exactly what you deserve, which I feel was to lose yesterday. You could argue a point, but we would have scored or kept one out the back of our net. It's unacceptable what we've been seeing. Of course, there's 28 games left, but come the 10-game stage period, I'm not expecting Arsenal to be the finished article. I'm not expecting us to be the biggest and baddest, and there's not a single thing that we can improve on, but it doesn't look good. There's 28 games left. We have to see what these boys are made of now. There's no point feeling sorry for ourselves. The L's have happened. We're in a rut. Again, a bit of an exaggeration. We're always 3 games away from crisis, but we're in a bit of a rut, man. And if I'm honest with you, 10 games in, I'm disappointed with everyone, including the manager. The hell is this? This is normally when teams take shape. It looks like a train where Arsenal are concerned coming to a halt gradually, if I'm honest with you. It's up to the manager and the players to change their reality. Anyone at this football club who feels sorry for themselves and down on their luck, come out my football team. Man up now. We're backed against a corner. It's time to stand up to be counted, people. It annoys me because I feel where Arsenal's concerned, there's no balance. It's all doom and gloom, but there's a lot of, especially content creators and media, that blow hot smoke up these boys' arse. Arsenal are unstoppable. We all know what YouTube does. If you're a bit intellectually dishonest, you get clicks and whatnot. At the moment, we look stale. We look devoid of ideas. We look like we're lacking any real spark. We're going through the motions. We're not living. We're just simply existing. It's the 2nd week in a row. It feels like we're lacking courage and lacking purpose, and it's unacceptable. Yeah, you can point towards our first 10 games and say, you know what, difficult games, really and truly. And yes, some games have been better, some games have been worse. You can talk about Manchester City finally losing. That's all great for them. Or Liverpool last week where they drew with us. It's about Arsenal getting points. And we're making this more difficult than it needs to be. We're dropping too many stupid points already this season. As I said, I don't want to hear no one or nothing feeling sorry for ourselves. I don't want to really hear what the players and whatnot have had to say. I watched the game again, and for me, above all people, it was stale. That's the most unacceptable thing. There was no purpose. When you can't, when you've dropped off a cliff defensively, when you're not creating any chances, and that's been a theme, regardless of if Odegaard's there. We were saying these things last year. Ultimately, football's about keeping them at the back of your net and putting them in your opponents. And we did not do that. We did not do that. So we've got no one to blame but ourselves. And again, beyond the obvious, it's all about the performance for me. Again, take nothing away from Newcastle. It's unacceptable. Isak's one of the most prolific goal scorers in the Premier League, a lethal hitman. To see Declan Rice, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, not stop the cross, to see no one picking up Isak. I'm not dropping these players in it, but it's unacceptable. It's sloppy. And again, what is going on? If I'm honest with you, we're not doing anything. The Newcastle game annoys me. It's about the performance. Take nothing away from Newcastle. It didn't have to be great to beat us. They just had to be competent. But for me, that's the issue. If we're meant to be anything from the first, second, or third best team in the country, then when teams win or do something against us, they should be leaving that football pitch saying, bloody hell, none of them Newcastle kits are dirty. Easy clean sheet for Nick Bolt. I'm sure he's a bit disappointed because you would imagine Tommy Tuchel is assessing all the England keepers and everyone's position. He didn't learn nothing about Nick Bolt. He didn't learn nothing about anyone. Nobody won their individual battles. Nobody won their collective battles as a whole team. The manager's tactics were bewildering, much less the substitutions. We're not creating, so how are you going? And that's been a theme. And as much as I praise Mikel Arteta, again, everything you do when you are the manager is your fault. This is a byproduct. What is going on in the midfield? Not stringing no passes together. It's very mechanical and methodical in the final third, which on one hand I praise, but on the other hand, it's predictable. And you're not asking any questions. This is why, to a degree, I feel sorry for Kai Havertz. And we can waffle about ironically signing Isak. We can talk about Gyökeres. We can do all of those things, people. But what chances will these strikers have? We're not creating. When there's nothing in our midfield, we've dropped off a cliff defensively. And don't get it twisted. Defending and attacking goes for the whole collective. We're just going through the motions. And this is unacceptable. And I said it in the summer. When you don't do what you need to do off the pitch, this is where you get into it. And I also said in the summer, one of my biggest fears is it feels like, including this year, the third year Arsenal are talking about winning the league title and all of that kind of jazz. You either make mad progression or there's regression. You don't stay in that same spot. At the moment, it looks like there's regression. Of course, there's been red cards, there's been other moments, but can we honestly say we have played well for 90% of those games? No, we haven't. And games like Newcastle, probably like Bournemouth as well, it's been coming. You know, again, football is a weird game. Sometimes you're not at the races, you get away with it. To a degree, needed to do better against Liverpool. Should have killed the Brighton game regardless of how it panned out. Got away with one against Aston Villa. Let's be brutally honest. We won. It's happy days and all of those things. But the Southampton and Leicester games, unacceptable. Been papering over cracks. In life, you're never as bad as you think you are. You're never as good as you think you are. And it's disappointing because we defeated ourselves. We cheated ourselves. We are lacking discipline. You know, we're not winning duels. All these buzzwords that Mikel Arteta rightly so were key fragments of Arsenal becoming competitive again. It's crazy. We look devoid of ideas on the pitch. The people that are leading this football club, you know, in terms of tactical decisions, look devoid, and it's annoying. Now, again, the biggest hope and the scary thing is you got 28 games. Your backs are against the wall. How are you going to define this season? We might look back in May and say this is where we lost it, but you're at a crossroads now. The past is gone. The future is not here. There's no time like the present. You have to fully immerse yourself in the present. And presently, what the fuck is Arsenal Football Club doing at this moment in time? We are cheating ourselves. Too much money's been spent. Too many players have been picked up. I'm not saying the players are like this, but is there complacency? Are we scared? Is there elements of complacency? Do people at this football club collectively think we've achieved anything because we flirted with the league title for 2 years? It's unacceptable. And once again, anyone that feels sorry for themselves, leave the football club. Pressure's a privilege. You know, yes, it's the sentiment is a bit cloudy around this football club, but that's the privilege of playing for this football club. It's a massive club. 3 games without a win is unacceptable. And these are the things that happen. And it was all fun, sunshine and rainbows before that. Anyone who can't deal with these expectations, you need to cut. A title needs to come home. At this moment, I'm not going to lie, it's looking like a top 14. Give me an FA Cup run, we keep it moving. And that's no different, really and truly, from when Wenger was here. These players are on too much money. You're all bigged up. The manager's bigged up for this to keep happening, and it needs to be arrested. And again, there are some other factors, but Mikel Arteta, everything indirectly we see on the football pitch is down to you, good and bad. When things are going well, you're the guy. When things are going left, what's going on? How are we trying to get the ball from David Raya ultimately into the opponent's net? I can't see any creativity. Let's not be naive, people. You lot, big up you lot for tuning in. And yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Let's not be naive, people. Let's not act extremely naive. Yeah. You lot know football. You understand football. That's why you're here. What are we doing? You know, everything's a byproduct of Mikel Arteta. You're not creating chances. What is going on? We're going through the motions. It looks emotionless. Arteta, what's going on? Because this is, we had these same talking points about Shakhtar. We had it to a degree against Liverpool. Obviously, Bournemouth, arguably the worst performance so far. And then Newcastle. Yesterday was a bit different in that, for me, I think it was terrible. But it weren't like you lot were mad rubbish and that. It's like we're just existing. We're going through the motions. There's no protagonists. There's no difference makers. There's no courage. They're not getting back to those high standards. I'm not blaming anyone, but you've got 2 quality fucking great centre halves there and a big boy number 6 in Declan Rice. How the hell has Isak made that goal himself and gone unmarked? It's the standards, and the standards are unacceptable. Timber, you need to stop that cross. And they're not alone. What is going on? What is going on? They're stuck in a rut. Do we need to change things? Does it need to change tactically? Do we need to change things off the field? I don't know. We saw last season, having missed out on the last day of the season with 2 points, how vital every point is. We all know here, people, you cannot win every game, but we are cheated ourselves. I won't really get onto the boys against Liverpool and City because there were some external factors and their big games and all of that jazz, but there's things that could have been done better there. There's things that could have been done better when we've won. And it's only when we find ourselves in positions like this where we lost to Newcastle that people want to have dialogue and apply a bit of balance. I'm tired of people blowing hot smoke up this team's arse, if I'm honest with you. Even the Isak thing, you've got to get right up his arse. You've got to be right next to him. I'm not gonna lie to you, no pauses in football, 100%. We're talking about football. You cannot let him go unmarked. You cannot let someone with the quality of Gordon make that cross. That's all Newcastle needed, something that we didn't have. One bit of brilliance, do their thing, you know, low blocks, stand up tall, just do your job. Even when the second half has started, about 30 seconds into it, 2 minutes into it, Newcastle look like they're going to get a second. What's going on? For me, again, I don't know about you, look, But I'm the sort of person, regardless of how life pans out, you got to stand up tall and fight, you know. And I haven't seen that. It's the second game in a row I've heard my manager allude to a lack of courage. And again, Arteta is not devoid from that, because a team is a reflection of the gaffer. If we are lacking courage, it's because either you're not promoting the courage, how you're, you know, the tactics are not working, etc., etc. These players need to stand up to be counted. These players need to be stand up to be counted, because we are going back. If Saka does not have a good game or do anything of note, which he didn't against Lewis Hall, it's done. It's very, you know, Mikel Arteta, I do think you know, you're a good manager. You got aura, you got all of this jazz. I think you can plan things. You can, you know, you do that. But at the same time, it's quite lifeless. When things don't go the way we look at it to pan out, which typically it more goes to plan in the big games, we don't seem to have solutions. And to be honest, again, how the squad's been amassed, you look around it, who's really got that in them to get over the line? We signed up for this in August. Now there's 28 games. There's 28 different narratives you lot can paint. Go out there and change it. And if you don't want to change it, leave the football club. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that for me, people. And then again, as I said, you know, going back to the Liverpool game, if we just pause that because it's doing the most. Mikel Arteta said we lack courage in the Liverpool game. Now, bear with me, people. He said we lack courage, right? What has changed, really? Mikel Arteta said we lacked purpose and threat. What were the players doing? What have you lot been doing all week? What did you lot expect was going to happen? Because I don't feel the atmosphere had anything to do with us not beating Newcastle. Big up Newcastle. It's, you know, we got shot on by the Magpies. Nobody wants to go to Newcastle and play them. They're a good team, but it's another game. And I know Bournemouth beat City. It's another team that have not been in the best of forms. They've played us and their fortunes have changed. We're getting back into a scary scenario. Yesterday, Mikel Arteta said we lack purpose and threat. If the players should be kept up at night with that. They should be kept up at night with that. And the manager as well. Everything that we do, from when David Raya gets the ball to, in theory, Kai Havertz, smash the like button, it's a byproduct of you. So if we're lacking purpose and threat, that's down to you, you know. Same way if we came out the blocks, we was amazing and we had purpose and threat, it'd be great. How in a Premier League game, with everything that's at stake, with what you've seen in the last few games, people, with, you know, knowing that you need to take advantage, and you never know when City and Liverpool are going to drop points, but you know you need to do your job. Where is the lack of purpose? Mikel Arteta, the subs will be bewildering. And again, the way we've assembled the squad, you know, defensively we're being asked questions. Midfield, again, there doesn't seem to be a solution if Martin Odegaard isn't there. And even that, people, let's not be naive. Once again, you lot are smart. That's why you're here. We ain't got the most views, but we talk football, right? Let's not be dumb. Odegaard comes back into that team. I do think we get better defensively, and I do think we create chances. But is it a thing where we're, you know, we should be creating chances in spite of Martin Odegaard? Not to go back to Arsene Wenger, but how many times were we creating chances and doing things? And you could evidently see you get better players in certain positions. We do things. Odegaard's one man, you know. We should be creating from everywhere. Why the hell is David Raya good with his feet? So we can create. For our first attacker is David Raya. Our first defender is whoever plays up front. Are we seeing this? You throw in how disillusioned that midfield looks. What's going on? You got your best midfielder playing right back, which I hear it. I'm not criticizing. It needs to happen. You lose Partey in there. You lose presence. Declan Rice is a man on the island trying to do everything. I do think people are a bit harsh to Moreno, but he's kind of coasting. The Trossard in the 10 thing is not happening right now, and there seems to be no other solutions to such. The subs are coming on. I mean, anything Mikel Arteta did yesterday, we could ask questions, but why the fuck ain't Raheem Sterling coming on? Someone with a bit of pace down the left. Martinelli, you need to get your head up as well. I love Martinelli. You lot know me. I'll always back him. But Martinelli, you need to get your head up. You need to get your head up. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's childish. It's mad childish. If Saka's not on it, we're at problems. You know what I feel sorry for? Despite his limitations, Kai Havertz, because you're having to exist. We're not creating chances for you. You're having to pull out to the right, drop into midfield. Again, it's almost like we're thinking about the opponent too much. And again, I don't fault that. I think you need that. But it's like we've gone from Wenger, who I love the guy, kind of disregarded the opposition. We're going to do our thing, to maybe we're thinking too much, or maybe Mikel Arteta is stuck in his ways. Because at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a Wenger baby. I want to see silky football. I'm sure you lot do too. I'm sure even if you don't care about the Wenger ball stuff, you'd all agree we need to do better in the final third. That's how you win games. Ultimately, goals are what wins you titles, right? You need to get back to basics. Fair enough. If that's not what we're going with, and Mikel Arteta, you know, we've got height, we've got physicality, we've got tenacity. We're meant to be defensively solid. Where is that? Because you're not defending well. You're not creating chances. You're just existing. And if you think that anyone can feel sorry for themselves, where we've got to go to the San Siro midweek and we've got to play Chelsea, who are turning things around, you've got another thing coming. You've got another thing coming. I don't know if these players actually are believing the hype. I don't know if the managers believe in the hype. I don't know if we feel that we're a team. We're not. I ain't seen us win no Prem in the last few years. I ain't seen us win champs. What are we talking about? Anyways, moving on, people. It's been a horrible 3 games for us, man. Not keeping clean sheets, ultimately not winning games, doing the things that matter. We have to claw it back. You look at our drop points in the 5 games we've played. Well, in 5 of the 10 Premier League games, people. Obviously, we beat Wolves, Villa, drew against Brighton, which again, fair enough, down to 10 men. I personally feel the game should have been killed before it even got to that. Spurs did what you needed to do. City, depends how you look at it, but I'll give the club some leeway on that. Leicester and Southampton, let's be honest, we just got the job done, but it was harder than it needed to be. And then a lot of people, some people call me overly optimistic, some of you call me negative, some of you call me balanced, some of you call me too balanced. And I don't know about you, but I was telling you, look, there's warning signs against Brighton. I said it against Villa. The issues that ultimately led to our demise against Newcastle and what's being highlighted at Arsenal, it's nothing new. It's been there. There's nothing new under the sun. If people would actually just open their eyes, remove emotion, and actually see the good, the bad, and the ugly for what it is, we wouldn't be having to have this dialogue. Bournemouth, unacceptable. Fair enough. Bad things happen. There's not a single positive. And it's sloppy as well. It's very sloppy. I'll kind of allow the boys for the Liverpool game. But the Bournemouth away now, Newcastle away, it's far too sloppy away from home. Last season, what was one thing was big and the boys actually did well? You're going away from home and you're having that courage, you're having that high standard. How some of you have been here for a while with me. How many times have I sat here and said, I actually prefer Arsenal away from home in the Premier League? Now I want to get back to the Emirates. I'll take the drama at the Emirates because at least we was winning games. It's terrible. The only good thing with this run is you've gone to City, you've gone to Spurs, you've got Newcastle out the way, you've got Villa out the way, you've played a game against Liverpool. And if you continue this, I don't know when Anfield is, but I don't want to go there. And we got to go to Stamford Bridge next week, where last season, I think we dropped 2 stupid points, took an hour to turn up. We're too volatile. Lately, across a 90-minute period, you've been good for 45. There's been a good 20-minute stage. You've let yourselves down either at the beginning or the end. Goals are not, people, no one wants to concede. There's never a good time to concede. There's never, there's a goal in theory could always be avoidable, right? We conceded 12 minutes in. Where you've gifted that to Newcastle. The saddest thing about that is as well, I actually feel we started well. I actually think we did all right, but clearly not well enough. It's not good. We have to claw it back. And Mikel Arteta, you talk about winning draws and tenacity, and that's why we got Rice and all of these guys and High. Where was that yesterday? How can that not be there against Newcastle of all teams? Newcastle away, It's not. What was we doing? What was you lot doing on the plane or the coach up there? What was you lot talking about midweek? I don't know. I love you lot. Big fan of you, Mikel Arteta. Don't back you religiously, but big fan of you. Big fan of the players. You lot upset me yesterday. There should always be a level of performance, and it's not been there. Fair enough. We drew point. We dropped against. We lost. We drew against Liverpool, but there was something. So what's going on? Too volatile to be talking about winning Prems and all of that crap. Too much money has been spent. Too much. You've been here too long. Some of the players as well. For some of these talking points to be a thing, people. Arsenal's lowest dual win percentage in the Premier League in 2024. Ridiculous. Now we can do the balance thing and say, yeah, it's 3 L's this year and whatnot, which is true. And again, there's 28 games, so it's that left in the Prem and whatever in all the cups. So it's down to these boys to paint whatever narrative they want. But right now, it's looking peak. It's not looking good. You look at the league table, again, it's 10 games in, not going to draw too many conclusions, people, but flipping hell, mate. You can say what you want about Chelsea. Look where they are if they go and beat United. Look what Forest are doing. Big up Forest, they're going to go by the wayside. Crucially, look at where Arsenal are at and look at where City and Liverpool are at. Now, Liverpool, big up them, they're top of the table. And if they win the league title, boy, Arteta question marks, I know, boy, question marks, innit? It's City. The only saving grace is City finally have a loss and we keep our Invincibles thing. But it's one thing asking and hoping Liverpool and City drop points. It's another thing my football club and you lots too taking advantage and getting over the line. It's upsetting. It's upsetting, people. And you look at this last little period, fair enough, let's air Spurs and Atalanta, people. Kind of forget Bolton, kind of forget City. Yeah, and we just focus on these ones there. Yeah, cool. You did your thing against Leicester. You got the 3 points, which is what matters. The 2 goals we conceded, unacceptable. Complacency. PSG, I think one of the best games I've seen you lot play so far this season. Pat on the back for that. Southampton, we got over the line, but let's not act like that was plain sailing. We went over Bournemouth. Horrible. Shat to the next second half, living a bit dangerously. You got the job done. Depends how you look at the Liverpool game, but another one of going through the motions where you've done well in certain periods and done poor in others. Ultimately, it's dropped points from winning positions, which it would have been great if we beat Liverpool and City, to be fair. Preston, cool, you did what you needed to do. Newcastle, unacceptable. It's gone now. But you think you can F about with these games now, people? Inter Milan in the San Siro and the champs. You think you can perform how you've been performing recently over there? You think you can mess around against Chelsea with Maresca now? Nottingham Forest, that's a game on paper we should be winning, which is another thing, because the games on paper have been the ones that you're like, oh, what's going on? Maybe we just shouldn't play 12:30 kickoffs. On current form goes out the window, hopefully. They're smoking us on paper. Nottingham Forest and Nuno Espirito Santo and big up Hudson Odoi and Chris Wood, they're in my FPL teams. They're smoking us. Ruben Amorim soon going to beat, well, we're going to see Amorim quite a lot of times, really, because he would have played Sporting, and then obviously, well, it's provided he's still there. He would have played Sporting and you got 2 games against United. Gyökeres and them, man, they're going to savage us in Portugal if you mess around. The last 2 times we've gone to Portugal in the Europa and the Champions League, what's happened? West Ham away. Again, West Ham can't buy a win, but neither could Bournemouth and Newcastle when we played them. What's going to happen there? Is it going to be the Arsenal that rocked up at West Ham away last season or the year before that? Man United don't know what they're going to look like under Amorim. Fulham last season away was our worst performance. Smith Rowe probably wants to put the knife in Mikel Arteta if I'm in that regards. There's a lot of football. Make this be a blip and continue. It's jarring, people. I've had it like it's the performance. For me, the Prem, I always say, for you lot got onto me for saying it on TalkSport. For me, I describe the Champions League as impossible, the Prem as improbable. I don't give a flying monkeys how improbable or how impossible things are for it. So if you got to go out and do things, anyone that's achieved anything in life has to have been deluded at some point, I know, to believe it. When Wenger come out and said we're being invincible, when Pep took his job initially, anyone, even you lot and me in our normal walk of life, you have to believe. So I don't care for the million reasons to believe something isn't going to happen. You still got to go out there and get it done. But at the same time, people, you're giving yourselves too much of a mountain to climb. Champions points after 10 games. Look at it. City had 18. We're in and around that. But boy, the maths, the data isn't datering. It isn't looking good. Biggest points gap overturned after 10 games, people. United did it in 02-03. City done it in 13-14. City also did it in 2020-21. Now, you could caveat that and flip that and look at our first title challenge where we was how long was we on top of the table for? I'm probably exaggerating, but like 200 days. Where did that end up? The data and the maths and the cold-hard evidence is and it's a big if. You lot know me. I don't like the ifs and buts thing, but if you can put a run of form together mathematically, there's a lot of narratives and a lot of games. If you go and win the next 10, 15, the narrative changes. But as I said, that's ifs, buts. And football's a wonderful game. You can change things properly. As you can see, when you're winning games, winning's infectious. When you're losing or not playing well, it just gets worse and worse and you're in a bit of a rut. Mikel Arteta, you've got to change something. I'm not on the training ground, but the definition of insanity, is it not? Is it doing the same thing again and again and expecting something to change? What is going on? Because even when we've won, we've still sat here and said these talking points, have we not? Again, we've gone over that already, people. We talk about Arsenal being a great defensive side. I think we are. I think we've got the capacity. But what I'm seeing this season, you lot better F off. Better F off with that. And it doesn't just go for the defenders. It's the whole team. It's the whole team's outlook. It's how we defend on the transitions. It's the level of focus. It's what we're doing via set pieces. It's everything. 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 It's marking Isaac. It's at least making it effing difficult for Isaac to score that header. One of the easiest headers he will score. One of the easiest assists Gordon will have as well. And it come out of nothing. Take nothing away from Newcastle because that's been the theme. We failed to keep a clean sheet in each of our last 6 Premier League games. All right, fair enough. City, fair enough. Down to 10 men. Liverpool will score goals for fun. Newcastle handed that to them. Bournemouth sloppy all over the field, messing about in that regard. Yes, we went down to 10 men. Southampton should not have been conceding. Should not have been conceded. Leicester, take nothing away from, what was it, James Justin's first goal, but the sequences. Are we complacent? Do we think what's going on? I got a lot of time for Declan Rice. I got a lot of time for Kai Havertz, who is our first defender, as I said. Got a lot of time for Saliba, Gabriel, Benjamin White, Timber, Calafiori. But you lot are not putting in them performances that I'm looking at and thinking, yo, what's going on? Now, we could all be silly and start to look at data and this team's conceded more, this team's conceded less. Let's wait until the 20-game mark, because I know Spurs are piping up. But what the hell is going on? What's going on, boys? How are you going to score goals? Now, obviously, Newcastle are not going to make it easy for you. And I guess watching the game again, I'm not doing no tactical video because there's nothing to talk about. We're stupid. Obviously, if I look from a Newcastle perspective, they were probably doing stuff to not let us play. But what's going on? Second half passes, bearing in mind we're trailing. How many passes into the box? Is Odegaard going to fix all of that? Of course, having Odegaard available, a creative tool at our disposal helps us. But is Odegaard going to change any of that? Any of that? And what did I say earlier? I feel sorry for Kai Havertz as much as you can criticize him, because what the hell's being created for the Don? This is why you can waffle about Isaac, Sesko, Gyökeres, all these strikers you want. You're going to buy a striker and you're going to have no effing opportunities. What's going on? And on one hand, I do like the fact that we don't force it. It's very methodical. It's very thoughtful. It's repetition on the training ground. Can't go forward, go back, side to side. But there needs to be balance. There's not that healthy randomness. There's no invention. There's no intention. You're not asking any questions. And I'm not being funny. How do you win games? It doesn't matter if you're fighting to stay in this division or fighting to win the Premier League. You need to score to win games, right? Simple game. What's going on? And we can sit here and boy, I love Martinelli. You need to get your head up. You can ask questions of Saka. You can talk about Havertz. How much did Havertz cost? 65 million. Martinelli, however much. And, you know, Brazilian international, Saka the same. Half of these footballers, if you went to other clubs, you might look a bit better. Collectively at the moment, what's going on? You're playing into Newcastle's hands. And this isn't something necessarily isolated just to Newcastle game. This has been there. It's jarring. You know, only shot on target came in the 27th minute. What happened then till then? So, yeah, Newcastle shut up shot. They didn't allow us to do anything, but we're defeating ourselves. And the players have to get with it. But also, again, it's a byproduct of what the manager is doing. Let's not lie. We can't be gassing Mikel Arteta and ask questions. Yeah, we keep our invincible thing. We put a bit of humour in this, people. Boy. Big up Thomas Partey as well. I think he was one of the better players. Again, Gyökeres apparently could be available for 60 to 70 million euros, but you can forget about that. Real Madrid allegedly are set to rival Arsenal and Chelsea for the 18-year-old Victor Royce from Palmeiras. We've gone over that already, people. Arteta said you need to stand up and find solutions. The players on the field, brother, you need to find them. I've got a lot of time for you. I believe you're the guy for us. And then what I mean by that is, listen, if you present me with someone that can get us over the line, safe Mikel Arteta. I support Arsenal. I don't support Mikel Arteta beyond that. You know, I think there's a lot of good that he does. I think it would be more harmful to let him go right now than to let him go than to keep him. Obviously, he signed a new deal. I think Arteta is going to be a great manager. I think you are a good manager. I think you make a lot of mistakes, but you also get a lot of things right. But I'm not with Mikel Arteta to the end. I want Arsenal to win stuff and kick on. You've got us to this scenario. We need to cross the bridge. We've been on the bus. We've been on the journey. The bridge is there. The mountain's there. How are we hiking that? Because it's looking like, you know, it's not looking like what's going on. What is going on? Realistically, he's not going to get sacked. I don't think you can have it both ways. You can't say Arteta is great and this, that, and the other and not ask genuine questions. Because if Pep don't win the league, there's questions. I wouldn't quite extend that to Arne Slot, but probably Arne Slot right now, and definitely Jurgen Klopp when he was there. With great power comes great responsibility. And it's jarring. It's jarring. And a bit of it is a byproduct as to how we've assembled this squad. We do need to find solutions, or better yet, you do, because me as a fan, I can't do nothing. We're obviously very frustrated and disappointed with the result. I think we started the game really well. We're on top. We was all right for 10 minutes. Come minute 12, what happened? And in one action, we found ourselves 1-0 down after a brilliant cross and finish. I think the energy and momentum changed. We got dragged too much into the game they wanted to play and weren't good enough or consistent enough to get out of that. You look at the chances, possession and dominance, and there's no difference between the teams. Bro, you're getting into that Spurs category. Man, need to just win the games, because that's all I'm for. It is where it is. Probably we'd have to be on top of that. But the reality is, when we had it, we didn't score. We didn't create enough threat constantly against an opponent that does really, really well at what it does. Defensively, they're really good. When they're ahead in that result, you take a very different approach, and we struggle to open them up. What's going on? Because Arsenal would have lost that game under Wenger in different circumstances. But one thing I wouldn't sit here and say is we never created chances. Where's the triangles? Where's the third man runs? What's going on? It's like we're thinking too much. Again, I love the fact that we trying to defend well and we're thinking about the opponent, but it's almost like we're losing our DNA. We also need to remember it's a double-edged sword. Think about the opponent, study the opponent, know the opponent more than they or he or she knows themselves. But at the same time, what are you doing on a football field? Because that's not my Arsenal I grew up on. That's not the Arsenal I've seen under Mikel Arteta, you know, that's been doing things. There was no heart. There was no ideas. There was nothing. And that's what is a bitter pill for me to swallow. There's not a single positive. None at all. We know defensively they were good. We have to eat that back-to-back defeats. We have to swallow that pause. Arteta is right. It is what it is. Big up William Saliba. Even though you're not alone, I'm vexed at you, my brother. I'm vexed at you, you know. Sent off doing an idiot thing. Trossard deserted you. Sent off doing an idiot thing. You and Gabriel. And they're not alone. One thing I've been confident about is when we're playing these big dog attackers and these serious strikers, I see my man mountain giant centre halves stand up tall, relish the battle. I'm not going to say you cowered away from fighting Isaac, but you can't let Isaac go unmarked. You can't, like, You're not making it difficult for him. I know anyone that's played Sunday League football, much less Premier League, one of the difficult things to do in defensive situations is watch the ball and actually watch the attacker. You lot are great at that. You're bloody William Saliba. You got Van Dijk bigging you up, team of the tournament in the Euros and all these things. Gabriel, what's going on? Declan Rice, don't think you're away from that. Timber, stop the fucking cross. What's going on? And I'm sure if I watch that goal again, there's many sequences that were unacceptable. So Saliba, I'm struggling to read all of this, people, because it's irrelevant to me. Again, I'm trying. It's the performance. Yes, I'm disappointed that we lost, but it's the performance, or better yet, the performances. Even when we've won games, it's not boding well. It's not. The only thing I'll say is this time last year we weren't at the races, but we was a lot better in certain aspects last season than now. What positives are there apart from the points on the board at this moment in time? And yeah, injuries and all the narratives, you got something away. You got to come away with something against Liverpool. I actually am quite proud of the boys at the Etihad. But what positives are there this season? If your name's not Bukayo Saka and David Raya can't even save us, because let's not beat around the bush. David Raya can't save us right now. But you go back just before this period, David Raya, since the beginning of the season, has been bailing us out. We saw David Raya a bit too much, and we're seeing him pick out the ball out the back of the net a bit too much. If you've genuinely been watching Arsenal, there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic. But what you can't sit there and lie and do is say you haven't seen the cracks. Saliba's right. We got to do a thing, man. We got to do a thing. Mikel Arteta, what are you saying in your press conference? Yeah, we know it's frustrating. Ultimately, we're at the 10-game stage. There ain't really positives. There's more questions and not really enough answers. I don't think it was a thing worrying about the crowd and all of that jazz. I just don't think the performance was there yesterday, personally. We know we ain't got Odegaard. We miss Odegaard. But, a few weeks ago, we was doing the job without Odegaard and creating relatively okay. Injuries happen. You either make sure you're going to blood the young Ethan. You're going to make sure this Trossard thing works. You're going to make sure if you put Kai Havertz there, it's going to work. If you put the three builders in midfield in Merino, Partey and Declan Rice, you're going to find something in that regards. You're not going to loan out or sell Smith Rowe or Fabio Vieira, and if you are, you're going to have someone in that place. We're gambling too much. There's too many gamblings at this club, and some of the things we're talking about have been there year in, year out. So we're making an active choice not to address these things. Odegaard, get back soon. But Odegaard's not going to change all our fortunes. Of course, you slap Odegaard back in. Me, there's not a single Arsenal fan that wants to see Odegaard back in that team more than me. The class region, Wonder God. But let's not act like he's going to wave a magic wand and we're creating. He's one man. I know it's very different. The Manchester City live or die by Kevin De Bruyne creating. Of course, he's the Maverick. Or is there a bunch of players? Obviously, Liverpool, you think of Liverpool and creativity. You think of Trent Alexander-Arnold, right, folks? Obviously, he's probably the most creative man in that team. But is he alone in that? And if Trent's not there, there's goals from everywhere. What's going on? What's going on? So I don't want to hear about players that are not there, people. Big up Partey. Partey stood up tall. We know how good Isaac is. Bro, I don't want to hear it, man. I'll be real. I don't want to hear nothing. I really don't. And obviously, I can't play this, people. Again, football is a moving game. You don't just stand tall, people. But I find myself, I watched the game twice. Yeah, smash the like button and subscribe. I watched the game twice, and I keep watching the highlights. I'll never get. Obviously, football is about transitions and etc. And I don't know if you lot can see this, people, because I've paused it. The back line's disjointed. There's no organization. Fair enough. You can sit there against Liverpool and you got Kivy or Lewis Skelly, Benjamin White as a centre half, Partey, mixed match. That is closer to a first choice defense that we had. Timber's too late to react to Gordon. It's a peach of a cross from Gordon. Peach of a cross. Not even asking off topic. Livramento and Lewis Hall. That should be food. Should be stressed out playing Martinelli and Saka. Two good fullbacks. What happened? Nothing. Gabriel, Saliba, Declan Rice. What's going on? If you lot remember, Isaac started from outside the area. He's found Longstaff. Longstaff, apologies, dispatches it to Gordon. Not one man has marked him. Now, I'm being a bit harsh of David Raya. David Raya, you know, he's obviously his position is like that because he's assuming he can make the cross. And David Raya's got nothing to do with it. And again, the hardest thing to do is watch the ball and the man. Nobody's aware of Isaac. Anyone who's played Sunday League, which of course cannot really factor into the Prem, you've at least got to make it difficult. He's got a free header. And on one hand, it's fantastic from Newcastle. Great cross, great movement from Isaac. From an Arsenal perspective, which is what all I care about, is unacceptable. We've dropped off a cliff defensively. I'm willing to talk all day about creating chances and all of that jazz. That's what I want to see. But at least if we had the Arsenal of last season, the Arsenal defensive standards of last season, maybe you get a point there. And of course, I want to win games. But maybe you get a point. Ultimately, you get something on the board. when you're not creating, you're not scoring, you're not winning, you're not dominating in midfield. Fair enough, Liverpool, I think we stifled their midfield, but generally they're not, and you're not defending. How do you win? Do you win? Is this how you win games of football, people? Is this how you win games of football? Is this how you win? I don't know. I don't know, people. Maybe I don't listen. I'm just a YouTube armchair expert that just loves my football club, innit? You know, it's the hope that kills. But again, 10 shots, 1 on target. Can have possession. We're getting back into that Arsenal of old. Possession for what reason? We're looking at possession and thinking, oh yeah, there's something in it. Which this does tell a story, and it does allow you to paint a narrative. But if you marry this with the eyes, what's going on? Possession don't mean nothing if you're not going to do nothing with it. It does not mean anything. It doesn't. And even with that, people, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole. Oh, well, what's this? Is this from last season? What's this? If we go down a bit of a rabbit hole, I allow the boys from the Liverpool game, but then 3 shots on target. Fair enough. That was a bit even. Not listen. There's a chance conversion issue and scoring goals, but there's a creativity issue. There's a creativity issue. And please, even if it's Odegaard, even if you go and get that Maverick number 10, even if you had Mesut Ozil in his prime, there needs to be an ethos to want to create in this team, and it's not there. Let's be honest, and I'm not knocking it. A lot of the games we've gone into this season, we're trying to be solid defensively, win our battles. We know maybe Saka's going to do something magical. Maybe he's going to cross it to the back post. Maybe we'll have one opportunity and do a thing, which on a couple of occasions, you can get away with that. Is that sustainable for 38 games? Is what we're doing sustainable? You lot let me know, innit? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. I feel a lot better though, man. I'm not like people. I'm sorry. I know. I went on a tangent, but honestly, I feel a lot better now. And this is, I have to say thank you to you lot. As much as I like providing you guys with content and all of that, it's a therapy session thing, man. I feel a lot better. Do I feel a lot better about my club? Do I think the Premier League's coming home? No. I'm hoping the football gods shine a bit of luck on us, and I look back in a few weeks or months and say, you know what, DGU was tweaking, or the football gods say, you know what, forget the Prem, we're going to bring you the champs. Dead. And what's making it difficult is this, on the best of days, you know, fighting City for a league title, fighting Liverpool, winning any game in the Prem, going as far in the champs, all them things is difficult. But we're making it harder for ourselves. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. We are disappointing ourselves. We are lacking discipline. Discipline, like on a football mirrors life. Like I say, if you ain't got discipline, you ain't got nothing. Discipline hurts. But what hurts more than discipline? It's the feeling of regret. It's the feeling of what we could have, should have, would have done in these games. Rather than being disciplined on the field, you know you're playing Isaac. Don't make it easy for himself. Getting back to that hunger. Maybe we think we've passed levels. Maybe we think because we got X amount of clean sheets and scored X amount of goals that we don't have to do certain things. Go back to basics. Nobody's done anything at this club. And that goes for everyone. I don't care who was there when we won the FA Cup. I don't care what you've done at previous clubs. I don't really care what you've done this season if you've been scoring or assisting. If you're a defender, get back to making it difficult for attackers. If you're an attacker, get back to doing the basics well. Mikel Arteta, find solutions. Show a bit more courage. And that goes to everyone. Everybody in this team is lacking courage. Arteta, you're lacking courage. You're lacking that couple percentage of courage needed to go out there and be a bit creative and play the way we want to play and do what we want to do. Lacking a lot of courage. Not too good enough. Unacceptable, man. And look, you lot would have seen, yeah, this is what I hate. Certain man, I'm not even going to show the number, but certain man that I call, they're actually my friends. They don't pick up the phone and all these things. The minute Arsenal lose, all day I've been getting ranked. You know, you would have thought I won the lottery, or if I was on TalkSport again, the amount of love I'm getting shown. All the people trolling me, I'm talking about my friends. The internet you control, man. I don't mind offensive comments, hating comments, etc. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you're getting it out there. I even got clipped up. I see someone in the chat say, "How's your hand?" Everyone that was there threw a water bottle. I ain't busting my hand over Arsenal. Are you mad? I used to be one of them little tapped kids that would punch out walls and that, but that's an idiot thing. I ain't hurting myself. And on one hand, I don't try not to get upset because there's always tomorrow. And I can't control anything at this football club because at the end of the day, I don't work for Arsenal. But we're making it harder for ourselves. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. Mad thing. It's all doom and gloom, too much negativity, brother. Everyone and their mother on a down. Yes, we didn't show up yesterday. Yes, we need to do better, but we're still only 10 games so far into the season. I wouldn't say for me it's a doom and gloom thing. It's just there's a dark cloud and I don't know how we get out of it. We're in a rut. and we're making it more difficult. And as I said, there's 28 Premier League games. I don't think we're winning the Premier League, but go out there and fucking prove me wrong. Go out and show me it means something. It's a privilege to play for this football club. It's a privilege to earn the money you're earning. It's a privilege to realize your dream of being a footballer. And I know some of you will not be at Arsenal for the rest of your careers. And some of you, and I know the players are trying, but it goes like that, you know. One day you lot are going to look back at your careers and there's going to be moments you're not able to change. Realize the chance you have. Realize what you have, because Chelsea are going to get their shit back together soon. United, maybe not this year or next year, they're going to get their ish back together. Liverpool, if they give bearing in mind Liverpool are flying, they didn't really, they done Arsenal dirty. Who did they bring in? They brought in an injury-ridden Chiesa. They're going to be doing things. Obviously, Pep Guardiola and City, match made in heaven. They might not be like Pep Guardiola, have a generational manager, but they're not going anywhere. And my biggest fear has been, as I've said, this little sweet period that we found ourselves in. Other teams are in a bit of a rebuild. We've kind of steadied the ship. We're fighting City. We needed to scumbag a trophy or two because we don't know what's coming tomorrow. And what annoys me is the manager. I love Mikel Arteta. I love what he's doing. I actually think he's a good manager, but I love my football club more. I don't want you to learn for no reason. And what I mean by that is all of these experiences, the highs and the lows, you F off somewhere and you realize your potential. And I go back to the summer. I'm happy with the additions that came in, but was that really a summer? Not the names are one thing. Big up the players we got in. The outgoings are one thing, but considering we fought for the last 2 years for a Premier League title, was that really the summer that? And we could have done this and been in the same spot where we thought it was a statement. Did you get that them players with X factor? Did you get another striker for when that can make something happen? A bit like kind of how Isaac kind of started that move himself. Did you get that left winger? Or that versatile winger? Did you get another creator where Odegaard is? Did you find that? And I don't know who, and I'm being harsh. Did you find that Cesc Fabregas, that Santi Cazorla, that 8 that's required? Or did we mess around finding a half-fit Raheem Sterling, running around on deadline day for Neto, talking about we tried for Sesko and Nico Williams, which big up you if you tried. If you lot tried to do your jobs in your 9-to-5s and you don't do it well, you get the sack. Try and only go so far. If I try to make YouTube vids and you lot all agree on chatting shit, then I'm chatting shit. According to the BBC, only one team has recovered from this far back after 10 games to win the Prem. Blackburn, and they had peak Shearer. Yes, it's doom and gloom because we ain't winning the title from here with this team. Big up yourself, Terry. Rice, Merino, Havertz cost north of 200 million, but they're just 3 big lumps, not a baller amongst them. Longstaff outbattled them. And again, I can't get at the players. Well, I'll go on for who bought them. This is what USS. If you go Sainsbury's or any supermarket and you buy ingredients and you cook and you come bring me that or whatever you've cooked me and I say it's dead, what's going on? Do I get at the ingredients? Do I beef the carrots and say the carrots ain't nice, go get organic? Or do I look at who was cutting and peeling potatoes and whatever? So why when certain men are coming up, certain players are saying, we're like a basketball team, that's great. Man, I've said this before. Man, I just want to see football, Put the ball on the effing floor, play something. Bro, that's what's annoying me. Play football. In the final third, play football. This is probably why we're better in the bigger games where, when we play the Liverpools and Cities of, the chances for both teams are quite minimal. You have to kind of take your moments. It's more of a chess match. Both teams are set up in a way that's kind of counteracting each other. You could extend that to Newcastle, but it's not good enough. It's not. Anyways, people, man, it was all horseshoe-shaped football, a round with no penetration, too much foreplay. Like 5 years ago, mid-table at best. There's a stagnate. What we can't say is there hasn't been a relapse. There hasn't been a stagnation. But in life, that's what happens. What goes up must come down. We're down at the moment. We're out. But the only good thing about being at rock bottom is you have to count your blessings, because as terrible as it is for me as a privileged, spoiled Arsenal fan, we could be in a worse position. We've seen the worst. The only way is up now. And they have to start that today. They have to start it tomorrow. No one should be with their family going and taking their dogs for walks. Everybody, including Ben White, who says he doesn't watch football. You don't need to fucking be at London Coley and watch football today, Analyze every game, scrutinize every game. Everyone gets homework, individually and collectively. But for example, Saliba, you go and watch Gabriel's games. Gabriel, you go watch Saliba's. David Raya, you go watch Havertz. Havertz, you go and watch Raya. Mikel Arteta, let someone else criticize what you're doing. Because everybody needs to see how everyone individual job, how important it is, and why you can't switch off for a second. Because what's going on? There's no Dubai this year, so you forget about it. Hey, bro, tactics are now too complicated. Playing defensive football versus Newcastle is criminal. For me, it's the cross, because when you're rocking up with Newcastle, Jules. Why aren't the comments coming up? It's crazy to watch 90 minutes where we have the ball majority of the time and look like we have no idea what to do with it. Exactly. There's no courage. But at the same time, Mikel Arteta, this is, at the end of the day, the match day is only the audition. You know, it's like a boxer. The boxer doing the training. When you get into the boxing ring, everything you've been doing is a reflection in it. So whatever you lot are doing at London Coley, it's not working, is it? This is what you lot are doing in training. This is a byproduct of the manager, because as much as I'm getting at the players have to take responsibility and courage and whatnot. But to a degree, I have to assume all you're doing is following the instructions the gaffers told you to do. You know, ultimately, a style of play is only for all teams. It's only a reflection of repetition. That's all you're doing. Everything we see on a football game for both teams. So what's going on? City gave us a lifeline, but last season we won 17 out of the last 19 games and didn't win the league. The position we put ourselves in requires perfection from here to the end of the season. Exactly. And I'm not even getting at the players, but perfection's an illusion. Who in that team? Yeah, everybody fit. Big up everyone. Everybody's got a part to play. Everybody's done whatever. Who could you bet on will give you anything close to perfection individually? Bukayo Saka, without his goals and assists, where the hell would we be? They didn't do it yesterday, but Saliba and Gabriel, Martin Odegaard, in terms of a level of performance. Benjamin White, fair enough, you always hear. David Raya, cool, you're calm. And there's probably a couple of others, but there's too many answer questions. Right now, I don't know how many clean sheets you're going to get. I don't know if you're going to create or score goals. Even when I break it down, I said this. We've got the capacity to score goals. There's some very good players there. But again, who are you going to bet on in August that's going to be there for double figures? It's but only Bukayo. Kai Havertz, I back him to get double figures, but he's not going to get 20. I hope he can, but he's not going to get 20. Trossard got double figures last year. Very volatile. Martinelli and goal scoring is chalk and cheese right now. So if you don't know how many clean sheets you're going to kind of get, if you don't know how many goals you're going to score, issues. And I know for a fact, I don't know for a fact because I've never spoken to these players, but for a fact, logically, forget what Arteta told these boys, but whether it's the boys, the lads talking in and amongst themselves, whether it's Mikel Arteta in the training ground, you must have had a points tally. You must have reviewed the last 2 years. You lot had in mind, we need X amount of points, X amount of clean sheets. We want to get X far in all these comps. Are you on course to realize your goals? Have you been doing the discipline? I think we need more than a striker. We need a system change. It's too controlled. For me, my only issue is I don't really want it needs to be in the final third. Final third needs a bit of randomness. I like the fact I think you need to be very controlled defensively. I think you need to be very controlled in midfield. But then there's a trade-off. Mikel, it's like what Wenger and Pep say. My job is to get you to the final third. Then the players are on their own. And again, balance. On one hand, don't force it. Don't be random for the sake of it. I do like the fact that it's structured. We can't go forward, go back, wait for an opening. But as I just said, balance. Keep half of that. And then 6 cents. Knocking balls round the corners. At this point, bro, someone just shoot from 30 yards, because I'm seeing Timber making third man runs. The only time we looked to have a Scooby-Doo in the final third was against Preston. With the greatest of respect to Preston, come on. Zinchenko was looking wavy in that. Kivio was looking wavy in that. I got a lot of time for Martinelli, but bro, it's a bench thing. It's a bench thing. We ain't got time to carry people. Too many people want their hands held. You want handheld and kisses? Go and talk to your girlfriends or your mothers or whatever. We're here to play football. We're not here to make friends. We're not here to do this kumbaya thing. Martinelli, I actually feel watching the game again, like you weren't terrible. I don't think the boys were terrible. Like it was just lifeless. But again, you're playing like this. And it's another one where I look at Martinelli, you're not moving smart enough. Like even against Konate, against Liverpool, obviously Konate is a big boy centre half. You know he's going to outweight you. He's going to get his body across, job done. Be a bit more stop-start. Can you take him inside? Can you do what you would normally do? Be a road runner. Can you add more gear? Can you use your common sense? Transfer window was a total failure, stated at the time. The man we added to the so-called attack, not trusted to come on when we're losing and need a goal. You're spitting, DJ. Listen, my heart, man. Tears from the chest, man. We need a striker, but a striker is not going to fix us. Of course, in a game like that, you had a bad boy striker. Someone might have just gave them a pass. They could have done a Thierry Henry thing like against Real Madrid a few years ago. Dribble past a couple players, make something happen. Individual brilliance. I hear that. But realistically, Arsenal fans, be honest with yourselves, bro. You could have a prime Thierry Henry. You could have Mohamed Salah slap him up front and have Saka on the right. You could sign this Gyökeres brother that every time we type his name and he's scoring goals. You saw what we looked at. If you're not creating chances, your strike is irrelevant. There's a creation issue, let alone conversion problem. How many weeks? And I'm not saying Kai Havertz is the best thing since sliced bread, but some of you in the circle will back me up because he's always here. How many times have I said I feel sorry for Kai Havertz? Because yeah, you got to be multifunctional, pull out to the right hand side, drop into midfield, do all of that crap. But what chances are being created for the fucking striker? Seriously. Not at one point yesterday did we go, bloody hell, what a save, Nick Pope. Credit to Newcastle. Dickhead thing from an Arsenal perspective. And Chelsea, well, give or take, between United and Chelsea, the ops, someone's got to win. You hope Spurs drop points. Can't see them doing that today, but yeah. We don't look like we have a midfield. No one is in the middle of the park getting past like that. Because the best centre mid is having to play right back right now. Declan Rice, let's be honest. I love the guy. I'm not with you lot hating on him. But, bro, I'm not here to watch Declan Rice pass the ball forward. If you can do that, great. Get in the midfield, win the ball back, party, do what you can, sign a wavy midfielder. That Santi Cazorla, that Cesc Fabregas. Again, I'm a hypocrite. Couldn't tell you who to sign. But someone needs to be able to break lines consistently. It's a joke thing. Because once we play out from the... Fair enough. Raya's got the ball inverted left back, you know, people offering. We've kind of got that. Once it gets into the middle third, and we've been, well, I've been waffling about the final third. What's going on? This is what I said last year. Yes, we're improving in terms of goals. We will score goals. And people are sitting there and like, oh, we got 91 goals. Yeah, we did. But on one hand, that shows we've got it. But on the other hand, there's not enough. And these are the things you have to get right. Of course, no two seasons are the same. But there's so many things we've covered in however long we've been here, yeah, that were here at this point last season. Now, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But then if I'm Arteta and I'm reviewing last season and thinking, yo, how do we get there? What's going on? Because I would hardly say we was amazing in the first 10 games last year, but it was definitely a bit more, it was a lot more healthier. Yeah, you could look at the games we've had to play up and down the country, but who cares? Everyone's got to play everyone twice. It's not like it's the Premier League's a Champions League format. You know, you're playing whoever you've been assigned. Now, big up Bakayo, man. And to be honest with you, the captain armband is a dickhead thing. Like, who cares who's wearing the armband? Listen, big up my football club. There should be 11 captains out there. Invincibles. You know, you look at all of them. You could say everyone was a captain. Any winning side. You look at even City winning Premier Leagues. Everyone was a captain. When Liverpool won the Prem and the champs, everyone was a captain. It doesn't matter if you were young like Trent or like the Salahs and that. Everybody led in some different way. There was different protagonists. Now it looks like Arsenal of old. Everyone's passing the buck. No one wants to take responsibility. Last season, I saw 11 people that wanted to make the difference. How many times, even when we conceded, there was an element of calmness with us because we knew maybe if we're not going to win, there's a reaction. Nobody looks like how they looked. If your name's not Bukayo Saka, David Raya, generally, boy, it's sink or swim. Hella man are sinking. Hella man are sinking. And it's unacceptable. Thing is, when United lost the league or didn't win a single trophy, your board should sack man and bring one who has potential. But anyway, he's not an Arsenal fan, but fan of your channel. Appreciate that. I'm not quite at the sack Mikel Arteta stage, but as I say, it's not a Mikel. For me, it's not a Mikel Arteta thing till I die. I'm very fond of the manager and whatnot, but if you could present me with someone that can get over the line, great. That's what I want to do. And there has to be question mark because at the end of the day, you've got a new deal. You have made us competitive, but you got a new deal. You spent money. We call you the innovator. You've got everything you've wanted. The way the squad has been assembled, negatively or positively, is down to you. With great power comes great responsibility. Big up you for the rebuild. Shout out you for the rebuild. We come out of the trenches, but now we're at that point where we're serious and competitive again. What's going on? And those above Mikel Arteta, you know, keeping Arteta could be the right or wrong decision. Sacking him could be the right or wrong decision. But beyond you lot just wanting to be competitive, are we dying to win? Because do you have a summer window generally for a team that's dying to win and end the 20-year trophy drought? Do we keep saying certain things about certain players year in, year out? Do you give the manager a new deal? Are you happy that the fact of it's relatively comfortable now? There's things can change, but there's no protests about the conkeys and all that. How much do you want to win? Because I can't lie, Patrice Evra's bang on the money. It breaks me to say it, but it is a Netflix documentary where Arsenal's concerned. It's always next season or next time or this and that. It's never now. It's never now. It's never today. Love you lot, boys. Love my team, but you've upset me because of the performance, man. The performance. Exactly, we are missing Odegaard, but he just like other players cannot play well every game. So where are the players or at least similar qualities to come out and add something to the game? Yesterday, a striker would not have made a difference. We can't get the ball to them, create one big chance in 89th minute. We need ballers, not duel monsters. We need a couple ballers, bro. Get the tugs, them, the duel winners in the team. You need about 3-4 of them. But we need saucy guys. And as much as, maybe not, obviously not now because we're not defending well, as much as I like the defensive outlook, I think one thing that goes above, above a lot of people's heads, there's many different ways to defend. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And I'm no genius. I ain't got, them UEFA coaching badges and all of that jazz, yeah. But there's more than one way to defend. There's the traditional defending, which Arteta's done. But it's also how you control games, how you take the sting out of games, effing attacking. Which I even think fat people are a bit harsh on. We're damned if we do, damned if we don't kind of thing. But what we can't sit here and do is act like we don't need to go up the gears. Go up the gears. If we were better defensively, you could argue we get a point yesterday. If we were better defensively, you could argue we get a point yesterday. If we were better in the final third, you could argue we concede, but we run away with that. Right now, we're going through the emotions. We're existing. It's like, it's like being in the ocean, and when you just lie down in an ocean and you're just floating. That's like what we're doing. We're just existing. We're not seizing the moment. We're not seizing what we have in front of us. We're not here to make friends. As much as I like the atmosphere, and we got a fucking dog called Win, and we're allergic to it now. But anyways, as much as I like the atmosphere and the kumbaya and winning through harmony and all of that, but we're not here to be nice, We're not here. And I genuinely hope all of them players, Arteta, once he said what he's saying, I hope he left that room and all of these players dug each other out. I hope they all said it to each other. I hope they all got at each other. But what I hope more than that is after that, everybody put their hands up and said what they could have done better and fucking get to it now. It's whatever narrative these guys want to wake up to. 12:30 kickoffs are peak. Still too early to be panicking, in my opinion. I wouldn't say I'm panicking. There's still reasons to be optimistic, probably blindlessly. But what I can't sit here and do is look and say, like, it's looking cloudy. It's looking like there's a rain forecast if this was a football team, and come out and tell you, look, the sun's going to shine. I hope the sun shines, but there's rain. Boy, we've gone backwards the last 5-6 games, and that isn't how you win the Prem. We didn't add a forward in the summer, and that is hurting so much. Big up yourself, man. There you have it. Arteta was doing tic-tac-toe with the dressing room at half-time. We should be able to handle these games without Odegaard. A man said, DJ's not taking a breath since I've been watching. Hey, you know what? The best of days I get told that, but that was just pain from the heart, man. That was just pain from the heart. I wouldn't say I'm frustrated with yesterday. I'm at the point where it's happened now, accepting it, but it's how we're playing, man. There's fans up and down the country, that pay their money to go and watch this team escape. Ultimately, football's an escape. There's people that, you look in the current economy, inflation, the budget that's come out. People ain't got money. One thing they'll always find money for is to go and follow their team, whether they're following them up and down the country, whether it's a lot of people like you, big up you lot abroad, that the time zone's not nice. There's a lot of you that wake up at some stupid times to watch Arsenal. The players are not repaying us, and they don't owe us anything because no one's telling us to do that. But they're not playing like they genuinely care about these people's feelings. Football's an escape. You should be excited to watch the team. We all support Arsenal, whatever team you support, because you feel a sense of identity. You feel a sense of belonging. I don't recognize these players. I don't recognize the manager. I don't recognize collectively what we're doing. And it kills me to say that. And I hope I look back in a couple of weeks and say, boy, you know what? Pat on the back. And yeah, I do think there's a correlation with the consistent changes defensively and our lack of clean sheets. But this is what we was waffling about a few weeks ago. Right? Is it Timber? Is it Timber and Calafiori, Benjamin White, or Timber, Tommy Asu in the mix? The only one we weren't really playing around with, evidently, is David Raya and the two centre halves. And thanks for the match reaction stream. I felt just like you. Appreciate it. No, you lot, thank you. Because if you're not here watching the content in general, you're not here today, bro. I'm just talking to myself. So appreciative to you lot. Now, I'll always be there with Martinelli, but it's a demotive thing. I told you before a ball was kicked, there were warning signs, letting players go with no replacement, getting Chelsea cast off instead of bangers. It was there to be seen. But trend is important, DG. We're on a downward spiral. And you've articulated perfectly, and we need to stop that. You have to, I don't know what you'd say, but it's like being in a bookies or a bookmakers, or you're betting or you're gambling. Don't you let winners win, and when you're losing, cut out of it immediately. It's like we're still gambling. It's like we're doing certain things. We're losing in the slot machine. We're still putting money in. We're still doing the same things, and we're still surprised why things are not changing right now. We have Onslaught 7 points ahead of us. He spent nothing phase one. I don't care about the phases. I'm very relaxed, man, but football means a lot to me. This is the only thing obviously I care about a lot, but it's the only thing I have close to a Scooby-Doo about, man. Wish we never let ourselves fall into the point where we have to now look at past title winners and pray that we somehow 180 our form and pull a run while the other teams drop points. It kills me. We needed to win a game and Jorginho comes on and he almost contributed to an assist with a throw. I'm not going to lie. Did I not say, and again, I didn't say to start Jorginho, but in my watch along, I promise you, whoever cares to go back, did I not say, I feel like Arteta should, or maybe would, obviously before we done the lineup, might do something booky like play Jorginho, because at the end of the day, Jorginho's not got legs. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. The man ain't got no legs. We're in issues. We're a bit more open. Bearing in mind, I'm sure a few years ago we went to Newcastle and Jorginho actually did all right. But yeah, I thought he might do something. We know where he's got no legs, he can pass the ball. As much as Declan Rice weren't really in the 8 yesterday, but as much as I like on one hand trying to teach him and stuff, you've got to use tools for what they are. If Declan Rice was an 18, 19-year-old, right, and we bought him and he was a 6, I'm more likely to hear all of this converting him into an 8. And I'm not saying you can't learn things, you ain't got to do things differently, but at the end of the day, bro, you bought a man for 100 million. Bought a man for 100 million. West Ham captain, X amount of England caps, X amount of Premier League apps. You know what his bread and butter is. Mikel Moreno. Going to change our fortunes, according to some fans. I told you, no disrespect to Moreno. It's not a that thing. Trying to make him do everything. I actually feel quite sorry for Mikel Moreno because I feel there's personally too much extreme opinions. Good squad player, not got that dog in him. Your best midfielder's an aging 31-year-old, which obviously with the way he's playing begs the question in the last year of his deal, do you give him a new deal? The same man that a lot of you, and I'm not even getting at you, a lot of you in the last 2 years wanted Partey gone owing to his injuries. Are the club going to give him a new deal? And if you don't, who is coming in? We got a lot of piano pushes, need some piano players, man. Trossard was rubbish, but I even now, I feel people, I'm not on this getting at one player, man. Bro, there was no leaders yesterday. No one led by example. No one puffed out their chest. I don't know what they did or didn't do in the change rooms. Maybe someone had some few choice words. I can't comment on that because I'm not there. Man smashed his hand because of this dead team. Take it easy. Do you know what's so deep, yeah? The water bottle's still here. I dashed a water bottle. And bare frustration, man. Yesterday was a lot to take. This hand thing. I ain't busting my hand for Arsenal. Who would you like to replace Arteta? At this moment, I'm not calling for him to be replaced, but I don't know. And I'm not saying because I don't know, don't sack the guy in theory or whatever, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Keeping him might be the right or wrong decision. Letting him go might not be, might be. At this moment in time, if he was to leave tomorrow or we're sacking him, I'm not going to lie, I've become accustomed to these new kind of Spanish managers. So I know it's a bit impossible. And I know Real Madrid and all these guys are onto people. But Arteta must have Xabi Alonso's number. Must he? Must can ask Areola for Xabi Alonso's number. Bearing in mind, Xabi Alonso, remember when Benitez tried to sell you? Yeah, because he wanted to replace you with Gareth Barry. Who's a footballer that we wanted to sign? Completely left, but 2 players I wish we signed for Arsenal at the time and we was quote unquote allegedly close. I would have loved to have seen Xabi Alonso in an Arsenal shirt. And what's the other one? Michael Carrick. No invention, no intention. It's over for this guy this season. You can't be with a group of players and not win anything. But is it though? The man's got a new deal. I wouldn't accuse any of these players of being sabotage guys, but Martinelli, you've not kicked on. You're a squad player, but you're playing every week. Trossard, you know, you're a rotation option, super sub. Can we really be, they need to up it, but can we really be surprised? You're putting people in positions that they're not built for. And this is something we used to do. Like you look at Giroud. Giroud was a great striker. Obviously, I think people look at his time with Arsenal through roastings, right? Giroud is a facilitator. Giroud's a good squad player. We're suddenly making you the Van Persie replacement. We're looking at you to get 20 odd goals. And we're surprised. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Bringing Zaghi's a proven winner, Saka Arteta. We missed Calafiori yesterday, a player with courage. I did believe that. But even if he was there yesterday, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, because I defo feel that. Would have loved Odegaard, loved Calafiori. Think we need them 100%. But there's been times them and they've been there, and what we saying? And if they were like, we can't, I think we're in, of course, players, you need players that do the individual thing, make differences, get us out of jail, right? But that's one man. We've been many years ago, but how many times when we were rubbish, Alexis Sanchez was the only one that half had a clue. Everyone else was crap. I don't want to get back there again. I need to see 11 players. Arteta not winning anything. He doesn't do the simple things. The players are talking about confidence and all these things that have nothing to do with football. They're losing confidence in Mikel. But hey, What I would say, if they are, boy, you lot need to, before you, the manager has to take responsibility. Before any of you effing blame Mikel Arteta, ask yourself, have you played the best you can, regardless of the tactics and stuff? Have you played to your best of your ability? Maybe if you're Bukayo Saka and Saka sits there and says, I'm losing faith in Mikel, maybe there's a conversation to have. I don't want to hear that from Declan Rice. I don't, maybe even Partey as well, to be fair. I don't want to hear that from Rice, Moreno, Saliba currently even, Gabriel at the moment, Timber from yesterday. I don't want to hear that from no one. I don't want to hear that. Because if you, at the end of the day, fuck the manager, you're playing for Arsenal. And at what point do you can ask questions of the manager, your teammates? What about this? You mean to tell me you lot's mothers held you in their tummies for 9 months? Some of you came from some serious environments to be a footballer. You realized dreams of being professional footballers, which we all have done. Your family name on the back of your shirt, your own personal pride. Where is it? Where's the defender's pride in keeping attackers quiet? Where's the attacker's pride in wanting to score goals? Where is the winning draws? When you lot find out, let me know, man. Let me know, man. DG, there's been I can't say that word, Eddie, man. Chance of a gap in our centre-half pairing since the start of last season. This was not the first goal with our centre-back split miles apart. Amen. You're right. Inter's defence is way tougher than Newcastle. Bro, ski. Crazy. Saka locked up by Lewis Hall. That's cool. It happened. How many times has Saka slapped it at your team? Fair enough. Let's not do that, G1. You see how you've not even been, you're not even been rolling to the chats anymore. But the minute we lose your back, big up yourself, man. And we do have to keep an eye on Chelsea in that. Bro, it's on one hand, 10 games in, obviously we all know what City are on. They'll go on a mad run. But right now, it's not looking like nobody's pulling away from anything, essentially, where it's the top 4, where it's the Prem, well, winning the Prem, all of that sort of stuff. Big up yourself, Footy Chat. Smash the like button, as he said, and big up the members, man. Boy, we are paying for the lack of ambition by the board who tried to make profit in this transfer window instead of going an extra mile to make it happen. And I agree. I think with Mikel Arteta, he gets his way too much. And on one hand, you've given me reasons to believe that, but you get everything you want. I'm not even blaming that, but I'm sure, there must have been some reservations with 100 million on Declan Rice. So obviously people more agreed, but you got that. You wanted to keep Xhaka. You got that. You wanted Xhaka gone. You got that. You wanted Kai Havertz, which must have a bit, obviously Kai in hindsight is doing his thing right now, but that signing a bit like us, they must have sat there in the board and been like, yo, are you sure about that? Obviously David Raya's worked out over Aaron Ramsdale, but at the time, many people they said, oh, what are you talking about? And I'm talking about examples for the board. They might have said on one hand, yeah, you know what, Arteta, you see things that we don't, you can have what you want, which again aids the point, but they could have said, right, you know what, Ramsdale just was in the PFA, was doing this and that, English court, do you really need a keeper? You said, yeah, you got that. Saliba, at one point, bearing in mind, this is the 3rd season Saliba's been a player like that. You've disillusioned him on loan. You got to make these decisions. And on one hand, I think, I don't think there's people above him that say, you know what, you got another left back. I don't think there's people that sit there and go, you know what, Arteta, I hear you, but maybe we need to go for a strike. Maybe we need a centre mid. Maybe this one's not the guy. Because I do think you've assembled a decent squad, but at the end of the day, where protagonists are concerned, you're putting men that are not protagonists in positions to have to be protagonists, and they're not built for that. Last season, the talk from Arteta was control football. I don't know what the talk is now. There's no chattings. Well, to be honest, there is chattings. Oh, what's worse than discipline? Regret. I should get that tatted. It is, bro. Think about your life. I think about bare things. Think about any time you've sat there and disappointed yourself, whether you've gone broke, whether you've not got the job you wanted, whether a relationship hasn't worked out. Regardless, any sort of disappointment you find yourself in, when you sit there, it didn't just happen overnight. So, of course, some disappointing things happen in life, but it didn't just happen in that moment. There's been warnings that you've not taken heed of, or you've been smart enough to see that and you've aired it. Regret is the worst feeling in life because 9 times out of 10, you can get over it. You can, in theory, do something about it, but it's set in stone. It's there now. So be disciplined. Because last season, I saw a team that, and I saw a team that clearly on the training ground, there was a lot of things you were doing in the dark that came to light in a positive way, being great defensively, mentality, all of that. You can't fool people. Do you see the average positions for Newcastle? 0 striker presence. Blood. We never sharp Kai's a striker, clinical or not, and he never effing plays there for more than 2 games. We only look better with Kai up top, but this tour is wanting the false 9 crap. But games when we've had possession, we've struggled to create this season. Emery is better than Arteta. He might be, man, but at the end of the day, I don't think he was good for Arsenal. Maybe if they gave Emery the authority that Mikel Arteta has, but I do think Arteta is better for us than we was under Emery. But Emery's doing his thing. Emery was a better match for Villa. And I hear that, but Emery's not coming back. Edu just chose not to. Did Edu do that though? Because on one hand, Edu has to get his decisions, but let's be brutally honest, yeah. In the hierarchy of things, right, people, you lot are not stupid. Neither am I. When you look at the whole hierarchy, yeah, Edu's on paper, Edu's above Arteta. Realistically, we all know Edu, you're second in command. If Edu and Arteta get into a room and Edu is saying do this, Arteta is saying do that, you got Josh Kroenke, bro. You know Mikel is going to get that. I don't think that, take nothing away from what Edu has and his own part in what the club's done. I don't think they'll cry or be devastated if they let Edu go. I think they will with Arteta. And again, I think the club want to win. But I look back at that summer and all this we tried and what we didn't. You're not dying to win the Prem. You're probably a bit complacent and thought, you know, last 2 years we've been ticking along. I don't think you was dying to win the Prem. I think you'd like to. I think you're cool as long as we finish in the top 3, probably even top 4, mainly top 3 positions. And there's some sort of improvement across some metric, and there's quote, I want to win these things. But if you get to the latter stages of these cups and there's some context behind it, I think they're cool to go again. Bearing in mind, new deals have been given. So that tells you everything. Coach DG, get your coaching badge, bro. There's still time to manage a team in the Prem. What were you saying, first black manager, yeah? Well, not first, but yeah. And you'd never want to let Newcastle score first. Way too predictable in the final third, man. Let's say it will take 95 points to win the league since Liverpool on the pace for that. That means we statistically have 1 loss and 2 draws left on our schedule out of 28 games. Not ideal. And that's assuming we win. That's assuming there's no injuries, there's no refs, there's no reds, there's no setbacks. Disregarding fatigue with all the games, boy. I thought you were doing any more lives. Huh? Okay. Ball movement was way too slow. We need to be in the final third in like 4 passes. Yeah, this loss was slightly coming. Look how stinky we've been recently. Shakhtar wasn't great. Preston, even if it was 3-0, a lot of missed chances. The difference with the Preston thing, obviously, rotated side, cup, all of that jazz. But I'd say the key difference is we actually created some chances, bro. Because even when we've won games, and of course there's exceptions to the rules, but there's been times where the fine margins have just worked for us. Like we've created 2 chances. Fortunately, Saka or somebody put the ball in the back of the net. It's not sustainable, man. I've got a lot of time for Martinelli, but honestly, I wish I could give him big bro treatment, man. I wish I could just grab him, get his head, sit down, bro. We need to go back to basics. You see, when you're playing football, don't have your head low like a head chick. Bro, look up, man. Look up, bro. Please. We've only been looking threatening from set pieces and individual brilliance. Love this lad's passion. I don't love his passion, man. I just say what I feel, man. Appreciate that, man. Yo, DJ, what's the best way of contacting you about a collab? Hit me on Twitter, man, or let me post my email. We'll just hit up that. That Molermo guy from Las Palmas looks good, but, bro, Calafiori has been a line breaker / courageous player for us. He's been our best sign. He's barely done anything. Arthur, I hear you, and you're not wrong here, and it's different. But don't you think we're getting back into that scenario then, yeah? Which again we could define that as regression. If we're saying that, bro, don't you think we're getting back into not last season, the season before that, where Zinni was a breath of fresh air for all his faults, but if Zinni weren't there, we were sitting and saying we've not got no creativity. For me, I know the way the game's structured. I think we all do. And the fullbacks, you know, they've got special roles in today's day and age, yeah. Shouldn't what Calafiori does, whether it's the driving, the courage, all that stuff, shouldn't that be like an accessory? We should be having the 8 or the 10 making things happen, midfield making things happen. Calafiori added to it, if I'm honest with you. Mikel's losing confidence in the players. That is clear. They're not liking the issue approach. The choice of words from the players is a serious concern. I mean, Mikel, if he is, brother, they're your players. They're your guys. All Gunners will support Tottenham tonight. You're by yourself for that. And any Arsenal fan that wants to cheer on Spurs, you ain't learned your lesson from when another thing I got a lot of heat from. You lot were twerking for Spurs against City last year. How did that work out? Sold your soul to the devil. Oh, DG, thanks for the therapy, man. I needed this. No, thank you, lot, man. Thank you, lot, man. Thing is, DG, when Goldegard comes back, we still have problems, i.e. attacking areas. Arteta is too dependent and stubborn. Change attacking phase. I think Arteta, I just think he's on the law of averages thing. I think he's clearly not now because we're not playing great defensively, but I think he's on let's be stable defensively. We're going, it's football in it. We are going to have chances. I think he's focused on if we get 2 chances, if we take 1, we keep it moving, which isolated in certain scenarios and certain games across a 38 game calendar, I'm sure we'd all agree you can get away with that. Now, when you've seen our 10 games so far, give or take, that's kind of been our strategy. That's where it's unsustainable. Jorginho, Zini, and Jesus came on when we need to go. Certain man come on too late, if I'm even honest with you, man. Would you say sacking Emre and not giving him the chance and especially the time for his rebuild or trust in his long-term process was a huge mistake? Because Emre surprised everyone with that Villa side. But you could argue, yeah, I do think Emre thrives a lot more at teams where they're kind of the underdogs or they excel in they exceed expectations, you know, like you're seeing with Villa. Also, how much of Emre's failings or his experience at Arsenal has actually helped him at Villa? You could argue that, because I don't think, obviously, the problem with Emre, he stepped into a great man's shoes, innit? You were the first manager post Arsene Wenger, where it's not like, and it will kind of happen at City, but City ship is together. Everything is needed. The new manager can come in and do a thing. You look at Man United, probably now, but under David Moyes, you look at Wenger, you're stepping into a great man's shoes where the above you is a mess. You're always going to be crippled. You could argue, even though I think people are forgetting when Emre was playing Mkhitaryan and Ozil as wing backs and doing a lot of stuff that we didn't need, Emre failed us in the league as well. I think Emre failed us in the league. The year we got to Europa League final, Emre failed us in the league. I think these players, and any of them, I don't forgive them. I think you lot failed Emre in that Europa League final. You failed yourselves and you failed the fans. Horrible. You could say that. Emre weren't backed. I won't quite say he's not back, because fair enough, you wanted Zaha, you got Pepe in it, you can make that happen, but whatever Arteta wants, Arteta gets. It's made in your image. Even what you're doing off the field, getting a dog and all them things. Emre weren't really given that. Emre wanted Partey. Arteta actually got Partey. Arteta gets what he wants. And if he doesn't, then we don't act in the market. Of course, there's been alternatives. The Athletic said that was looking at Lisandro Martinez. When we got Zini, we did that. I'm sure the Athletic said we was on to Conde. That didn't happen. Benjamin White came to the foyer. We initially wanted Raya. That didn't happen. We got Aaron Ramsdale. And there's some obviously other things. So you could say, yeah, man. Pep started this thing playing centre-backs at right back, left back. We've got 6 centre-backs on the pitch. We are hurting with you, bro. Smash the like/follow button for our guy. You know what, Xabi Alonso, if you want to say it, you can say it, but you lot got eyes, innit? I'm not a man that fools people. Like, what could I say, man? We were bad all over. I think the cumulative effect of injuries, bans, etc. We're not playing a first 11 for an age. Not an excuse, but change and playing too many minutes for certain players ruin rhythm. Long way to go. That's all. At the end of the day, there's 28 games in it. Just need to try a thing. Hi, DG, you are elite. I just want to say a lot of the fan base are saying we'll be better once Odegaard is back. I disagree, because if I was a rival manager, I'd target him. I do think we'll be better, but again, Odegaard is not going to click his fingers and we're wavy. Nobody can do that. Like, we can't rely. Naturally, that's the nature of the business. The players, and I do it myself. You know, I agree with the comment about if we had Calafiori and Odegaard, but it's always the ones that are not involved. Why is the buck always going to be passed? Can't blame Kroenke for anything. They gave this guy plenty of money. The board clearly said you need to be responsible with the money, so he had to sell unused players. I'm with that. Edu and Arteta, good, bad, with what we look at the squad. You, man, got yourself in that. Now, of course, you want to sit there and say, yo, if we had City's owners, or ironically, with our FFP structure, if we had Newcastle's owners, it might, or I know people won't be here for it, but if we had Abramovich, we might be cooking. But they've given you the peas. Like, I don't think the Kroenkes are dying to win the Prem, like they're going to sack man and do the Real Madrid thing, but we know how they work. They put people in positions. They're kind of, you know, fair enough. Josh has probably taken more of a hands-on approach at Arsenal. They put people in positions off the field. They get a young manager. They kind of just leave you to it and probably just rely on little emails, checking in what's going on. You lot have fumbled the piece. There's been some good signings, but Arteta signed defenders galore, goalkeepers galore, 65 million on Havertz. I'm not saying these are bad things. I'm just saying with the budget, this is what you're doing, fam. This is what you're doing, bro. Like, you got to hold that. What we can't act is like we've got a fucking cup and we're saying, can you please donate to charity so we can buy players? There's been bread there, man. There's been bread there still. There's been bread. Money's been spent. As an NBA fan, just know the Kroenkes won't spend money. They won a championship with the best player in the world and they've decimated the squad because they didn't want to pay to keep them together. But The only way Arteta can redeem himself is if targets winning one of the trophies or will be up in arms. I mean, he has to win a trophy, but at the same time, yeah, people will move the goalposts. How quickly Arsenal fans turn. Big up yourself, Nobby, but I'm not turning on anyone. Like, if we won, I'd be here blowing smoke up these footballers' asses, people. We lost. I can only speak for myself. I don't think I've been disrespectful. I don't think I've done woe is me. I just like to, for me anyways, I just like to look at what's in front of me. There's still reasons to be optimistic. 28 games, still in things, but I'm not going to bury my head in that and disregard what I'm not happy about. Don't forget the owners weren't fully owners yet when Emre was there. That's also a good point. I do think Arteta is fixed on getting dual winners more than creative players, especially in midfield. We can't be in year 5 and just rely on one creative spark in Odegaard. Title hopes over, of course. Listen, I don't think Arsenal are winning the title, but go out and prove me wrong, innit? As long as it's, as Wenger used to say, as long as this thing is mathematically still possible, you have to fight in it. It's improbable at this moment in time because it's out of our hands now, isn't it? Essentially, like, we need, the only thing we can control is first and foremost getting back to those high standards, winning games again. That is the major thing we need to do. Then after that, you need City to drop points. So all we can do is ride this until the wheels fall off, in it. But past that, let's just hope that this is a dark cloud in a sunny season, isn't it? But this is what football's about, man. You gotta ride the highs and the lows. And right now it's a bit of a low. And it's a weird one with the Newcastle one for me, anyways, people, because I'm not happy. And I do feel that the performance was terrible, but it wasn't one where I can sit here and, like, it weren't like when we used to capitulate. It was just lifeless, lacking intention, invention, like unsure, existing. And what hurts me is take nothing away from Newcastle. They didn't have to do much to get them 3 points. Scored the goal, defended well, did everything that we should have done. City will drop points, but we need to win games. And how many times are City going to drop points? They do look like a different City this year, but how many times are they going to drop points? And this is assuming that every game we play, we win all of these games. Now, Arsenal Football Club, the sort of club we are, it is going to be doom and gloom when you haven't won in 3, or, you couple in the Shakhtar second half. But would you be happy with... would you be happy if we finished the season 3rd spot with a League Cup? Of course not. Of course not. I want to win the Prem and the Champs. Now, obviously, in the context, if we fall off a cliff and we're not winning and we salvage something, great. But it's not what you're going to see. Are we watching the Villa game? I can't lie, man. I'm not watching no football today. I'm going to go out and go for a walk and enjoy nature and just get out, man. Are some of these players overrated? I don't know, man. I look at that club. I probably overrate Gabriel Jesus. Other than that, I think, fans are always going to overrate players, but I wouldn't say necessarily. I think collectively, maybe with all the tags about title contenders and we got the dog in us and mentality and that, I think maybe we might be bordering back into that, but it's down to people to prove me wrong, man. Calafiori being our best signing is already a bad sign. But DG, what's your opinion on Arteta's failure when it comes to getting the best out of our strikers of the years? I think he did well with Aubameyang. I just feel with Mikel Arteta, it's not that you're not concerned about the final third, because we have improved in terms of scoring goals. Individual players have improved or had strong seasons, right? But I think it's a mixture. You don't really want, and the same goes for the whole modern game, but you don't really want your striker in the box getting goals. And I feel a striker under Mikel Arteta, you have to find a balance, and credit to Havertz because he has scored goals, but you're almost like a sacrificial lamb. Like you're kind of a very selfless kind of figure, really. You're not really getting on the end of things. It's almost like you're attracting the defenders to you so the others can take advantage. So yeah, man, that's how I could answer that, man. Last season with Saliba, I feel. You are so trash, fans. 1-2 bad games, all trashing Arteta. Shout all you fake fans. Arteta saved our club. Can only speak for myself. I'm just being honest. Like, I haven't said Arteta's rubbish and he's this, that, and the third. Like, if we won all 3 games, I think nobody would say anything if we were saying the gaff was great. I don't agree in turning on anyone because we've got to get ourselves out of this mess. As long as people have balance, they're not scapegoating. If people believe or do not believe in Arteta or any of the players, I think everybody's allowed an opinion, as long as it's balanced. But we don't live in that day and age. Like, Arsenal, the best thing since sliced bread. You just type Arsenal on YouTube and see a lot of content creators, and I get it, the game's the game, but we're either rubbish or we're the best thing since sliced bread. Where the truth's in the middle, man. There's a lot of potential, but potential needs to be realized. It needs to be realized. And we have this element of shooting ourselves in the foot. For what it's worth, I think on our day, we can take on anyone. I think we can give anyone a game. The problem is, when have these days been? And again, we shoot ourselves in the foot. It's like a smart kid in school that is one of the smartest, one of the most gifted, whatever you want to say. You know, he gets all, I don't even know what the grades are now, but like A's and everything. But he has an inability to sit down, retain information and focus. He's not going to get the grades he needs, regardless of his potential. Potential doesn't mean anything. Realized potential is everything. Yeah, VAR can be hard against us, man. But like, if I isolate the refs, VAR, and all these things, can I say we're playing at our maximum? And that's the reason why we are not in a position or talking about things we'd like to be talking about? I can't say that. Control what you can control. Control what you can control. And that's scoring some goals, defending, getting back to higher standards. That's what you can. We can't control refs. And even at the times where refs done us dirty, we could have still pulled away from these games with something. Boy, a circle sometime, man. But with that being said, man, let me not waste you lot Sunday, man. It's been a great therapy session with you lot, man. It's a shame. Obviously, make sure you're subscribing, you're hitting the like button, you're turning on your notification bells. I've got a short, more condensed Arsenal video, I believe, coming out at like 3-4. So yeah, and as you know, next week it's watch along business where Inter Milan and Chelsea are concerned. We're probably going to watch Real Madrid, AC Milan, and there's always a bunch of content. So yeah, make sure you're following everything. Last one before I get out of here. I'd love to sign Isaac in January, broski, but you know that's not happening, bro. Like, I hope I'm wrong on that. But yeah, on the topic of individual brilliance, though, there are some people that can make it happen.
Against this right back, Charlie. I think like